Okay, hi. Hello there.
Hi, hello. Welcome back, nerds. My name's Nikita. I'm a comic nerd. Gino, what are you? Oh, wait, I
I
go for it. I actually
what
just spoiled your name. Spoiler warning.
fuck. Well, I my name's Eugene.
Yeah,
That's my
there we go.
real
Yeah, I
name.
was wrong. That is his real name.
Please don't steal my identity. God forbid. I really don't need that. I in case you're curious, I'm a weeb extraordinaire on all things weebish.
Exactly. And today we're going to be talking about Invincible, the best
Woo.
weeb content out there, right,
It
Gino?
might as well be. I literally
Actually?
I trying to remember what anime I was watching someone talk about it and I was like, this is basically this show. How did I never make the connection before? That's
Someone
insane.
talked about that with Castlevania too, which, by the way, season 4 is probably out. I think by the time this comes out, we might need to do a review on that,
They
depending on how big it
were
is.
they were comparing Castlevania to Invincible.
Because the father-son dynamic with Alucard and Dracula and then
Interesting.
Mark. Well, hey, if you haven't watched Invincible, spoiler warning, we're gonna really go into it. So watch it. But like if you've seen it, it's been blowing up. So there's no reason why you shouldn't have watched it by now.
Yes.
Especially
That
that
last
last
episode really like blew it through the fucking stratosphere.
Yeah. I think that is what Invincible is about too. That's like the start of the show. So like if you've heard about that last episode and you think it's cool, that's what the show is going to be about. So check it out. And
I'd
if
like
you
to
want our
point out that
official review,
we've been talking about Invincible since
a
before it
bit.
was cool. Since
Yeah,
before it
we
was cool,
literally
baby. Let's
did.
go.
I told everyone, I said it's one of the best comic books. It'll probably be one of the best shows. And now everyone that is starting to see it is starting to say, man, it's a 10 out of 10 show.
Nikita was so fucking persuasive. He was so fucking persuasive. He got me to read the full fucking thing in 2 days.
Yeah,
back before the show came out.
2 days in 2 days. Oh my god. So definitely, hey, listen to that episode if you want to know what Invincible is about and you think it's your cup of tea. Check it out. But I highly recommend you checking it out. If you want to know our full review, here it is. Where do you want to start with this, Gino? Do we want to start with the comparison to the comic? I think because
I've been thinking about it all fucking day, honestly.
Yeah, right.
In preparation of this. So
yeah, I would say when it comes to the comic, there are definitely differences. It's not, I wouldn't say it's 1-to-1. I would say the plot itself is 1-to-1. The story is the same. The story hasn't changed. They've modified some details. That's what's changed. Is a few of the characters, not their characterizations, they're basically the same, but like maybe their race, their gender, stuff like that to modernize it, which I'm okay with. They weren't significant characters anyways. It's not like it was part of that character by any means. The time settings, things like that. It was just more modern because the story came out 20 years ago, and I think it needed that.
Yes.
Plus, even though the story is kind of the same, the story order is actually a lot different from the comic, but I think it was done better, honestly, if I'm being honest. And again, the comic is probably my favorite comic to date, but I think the TV show does the story better.
The way that I viewed it, and I think this is where I was making in my head the anime versus Invincible comparison, is that in anime, right, we have this really big problem about filler episodes, right? And that filler happens when anime production companies are catching up to the manga, and so they don't really know what's going to happen next, and so they just have to add plots in there to keep viewers satisfied. Until they can catch up or the manga gets far enough that they can get back on the main story. And a lot of people hate that shit. Filler is awful.
Yep.
It ruined the first show through of Full Metal Alchemist. But the reason everyone loves Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood is because the plot is more concise and to the point and follows the manga, which is a linear storyline. And so interestingly enough, what I see with the Invincible comic is that I almost really love the show more because it's like it's cutting out filler. Which like I don't want to like hate on Robert Kirkman for his original run through of the Invincible comic because it's great, but like the show is just like to the point and like the beats are quick and you know go for it.
I was just gonna say, here's the thing with that too in the comic, like those quote unquote filler arcs, it works in a comic setting. It wouldn't work in a TV show setting. Like in the comic, you enjoy those moments a little more because it builds up Mark a little bit more as a character, but on TV it would be a little slow. The pacing just wouldn't fit right. So I'm glad they did cut out the stuff that they did. And it wasn't, again, it's filler stuff. So none of it was significant by any means. It was like maybe Mark dealing with like a casual person issue, a little bit more humanizing him, or dealing with another small time villain that you're just never going to see.
There's a lot of small villains in like small situations that they cut out that I'm like, that's that's fine. I'm okay. The
Yeah,
fact that we were
yeah,
able to in season 1 get to college as quickly as we did,
yeah,
in comparison to the comic books, I was floored, man. I was like, fuck yeah. I was like, we do not have to go through, like, I just remember originally being like, this is taking for this whole high school to college setting change is
yeah.
like taking forever. I remember talking to you about it, that I was really pissed off, that I was like, why the fuck is Mark going to college?
Yeah, yeah,
um
yeah.
like
And I honestly don't know in the show if he's even gonna go to college, because he's talking about it now. But I think again, part of the series is like they're modernizing it. And Robert Kirkman talked about this. He is changing a few details. He's keeping the plot and everything the same. All the major story elements, none of that's changing. Like everyone knew this was gonna happen, like the big fight between Mark and Nolan. That is almost exactly word for word what they say in the comics, scene for scene. They do the train thing, they do the boat thing, everything. But when it comes to like small details and stuff, he wants to make it more modern for everyday readers now. And I think him not going to college kind of fits that theme, because they're like Gino said, there's no point in it, and he doesn't do anything with it in the books. He literally drops out of college because it's just pointless. And I think it's because Robert Kirkman realized, like, at first he wanted him in college to be that quirky college superhero character, but then he was like, there's not much to really write with it, so I don't think I want to waste my time on it.
it's
You
a
know?
showing tell of modernity, that it's like you don't have to go to college,
Yeah.
which is an interesting point. It's an interesting conversation that's happening today. I think in regards to the only thing that I remember specifically not appreciating in the show that was in the comics was Adam Eve's difference in like her going off to figure out what she wanted to do. So her
Yes.
when she leaves her house from her abusive parents to go help the world in her own way. In the comics, she literally goes to Africa and is
Yeah.
helping people there.
Makes a
She's
whole
got a really,
village, everything.
yes, it's really epic, and I remember like falling in love with Eve immediately with that, because I was like, holy shit, this chick is like awesome. This is wonderful. In our version, she just kind of goes out into the woods.
Yeah.
And
Makes herself a cabin, deals with some more natural environment issues
mhm,
and some superhero stuff, but not to level like of humanitarian work that she did in the comics.
yeah,
I will say that is my only gripe, but the only reason I don't gripe on it so much is because that could still technically happen in season
yeah.
2,
It's really
hopefully.
not that big of a deal. It's not something that I'm like, fuck, man, the show is ruined. It's just
Yeah,
more
yeah.
of like, I wish Adam Eve would have just gone to Africa.
Yeah, yeah,
Honestly,
yeah. Yeah.
uh, that's it. Other than that, I've been floored. I think it's been an excellent adaptation
Yeah.
so far. I think the actors are really fucking nailing their roles in regards to encapsulating the characters. So I'm oh,
Yeah. So let's get into the show now, because
sure.
we talk about its comparison to the comics,
Yep.
and there are still some goods and some bad things about the show. And I think I want to start with the bad things first, because I think there's smaller issues that a lot of people, there are issues that I've heard people bring up that I think have some counters to them. I don't think they should hold the show back.
Yeah, yeah,
Like, the one of the issues I think just have no merit to them is a lot of people say Mark is kind of pathetic. He's not really invincible.
What?
He's yeah, because he loses every fight he's in and such and such. And I'm like, no, first of all, there are moments in between, because people I think are literally only thinking about episode 1 and episode 8. The middle episodes weren't as significant, but that's because they were built up to develop them up into episode 8. It's why episode 8 is so good. You see Nolan kind of slowly giving out and being like, oh, this is going to be stressful. Like, I don't want to have to interact with Mark. And Mark kind of like figuring out at first, like him being a Viltrumite and things like that. You see him develop into that moment. But in those fights, yeah, he loses some, like he gets his butt kicked by the Reaniman for a little bit, but eventually he does beat them, like a whole group of them. He beats Doc Seismic, that character. And yeah, he loses the Battle Beast, but like that's the point. Battle
There's a
Beast is
reason for
fucking
that.
insane.
Yeah,
He is a
yeah.
cosmic level character. So like and plus that's kind of the whole point of this show to begin with, is you're supposed to see Mark fuck up and be a shitty superhero at first, so that like you slowly see him, and it's over time, the entire series, you slowly see him get better and better and better. He'll make even more mistakes. I'll say even bigger mistakes as he like goes on down that road where he realizes like, I should not have done this. But it's him trying to be the best superhero he can be. And he eventually reaches that goal. Like I'll try not to spoil too many things for the comic in the future, but like you see him become the best superhero ever, and it makes it so much more sweet because he gets his ass kicked in the beginning so much. It's like,
and I don't mean to be like an ass to these people, but like if you're looking for pathetics, superheroes. Like, I'm not saying look at the Guardians of the Globe, but like comparative wise,
And even then, I like their
you
characters
know,
a little more here than I did in the comics too. Like they're
yeah.
Rex. I like Rex's origin in the comics a little bit more. Rex, I hated him at first in the show. I think Gino had the
I
same
still
feeling
hate
where we
him.
were just
I'll be
annoying.
honest with you. I'm
Uh,
still not a big fan of him. But
him at
that's
the
just
end
me.
wiping the blood off, I was like, okay, character growth. Let's go. Let's go. No, what? You didn't like
that
that?
that moment was kind of cheesy for me in regards to them be like him watching it out, and I'm like, you guys aren't ready for that. Like, I'm sorry. Like, you've got like Mark getting his ass whooped by Omni-Man out there, and it's like, yeah, they were helping people, like,
In the
you
last
know.
like minute two of
Yeah, and
the
I'm like,
episode.
you've got Mark over here who's like not only trying to minimize damage as much as possible, was actually able to use Talk no Jutsu on Omni-Man and get him to leave the planet. And you guys think
Yeah.
you're ready to wipe down that blood? Like, get the fuck out of here. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
you're done. No.
But they are kind of useless. But I think over time, I like some of the characterization we've gotten from some of them too, like monster going robot. Robots moment, you see that in the comic, and you just kind of read it. And this is why I love the show so much more. Not so much more, but just like enjoy it more. Is you read it in the comic, you make those voices in your head, you see it play through. It's in a one panel drawing. In the show, you get to see them actually acted out. You get to hear Robot's voice, like hearing Rudy talk to himself, old like deformed version of Rudy, was super sad. I didn't realize it was that emotional to where it was like Rudy watched himself die, and like I didn't comprehend that until I saw it acted out. So like with the show, you get these moments where it's just like seeing the effect it actually has on the character rather than just reading it and seeing it in a still. It hits you way more. It's way more impactful, I would say. And so it made those key moments, especially. And I think with the Guardians of the Globe, that's going to play a lot more as the seasons come and go. I think their characters are going to get fleshed out a lot more than what we saw in the comics, and they're pretty fleshed out in the comics.
I hope so, because you're supposed to really care in the comics when some stuff happens. I was about to spoil some stuff.
We're gonna
keep
try
that,
not to spoil it.
I'm gonna keep that quiet.
Yeah. I will.
What was
wait.
your? Yeah, go for
The
it.
other bad thing. Well, wait. Quick note: if you do decide to like read the comic ahead of it, or you're debating about it, I will say it doesn't ruin the experience of watching the show. In fact, it's made me appreciate the show more. So I don't think you should wait for the entire show. I think you should go ahead and just read the entire comic, and then you'll be ready when season 2 comes out. And I think you will enjoy it that much more.
And not to I don't know, YouTube has a lot of like reading slides. That's all I'll say about that.
If you can't find, obviously Amazon is selling it all over the place, so you can find it on Amazon now pretty easily. But there are some YouTube video commentators that kind of go over it. I'm pretty sure that's legal. I think
it is. I believe.
If not, we don't condone it. We're just letting you know it's there. But
and you should always support Robert Kirkman, because he is. I mean, he's amazing. He's
him. Oh my God. All right, wait, one more bad thing, because I want to gush about the cast too. But the other bad thing I will say is the animation is lackluster at times. But there I like 2 reasons from what I've heard. There's one reason, like actual reason, and then a speculative reason. But the first reason is budget. Obviously, they wanted to put more of the budget into like the bigger moments, which makes sense. A lot of animes actually do this too. Like Naruto did it for like is the prime example. And Naruto's still an amazing series. The animation doesn't ruin the show for me. While there are times where I wish the animation was a little better, or where I saw it progressively get better, I appreciated that. But it never like to me, I'm not watching an animated show strictly for the animation. Good animation could add to it, but bad animation will never take away from the show. Like BoJack Horseman is such a simple animation, but it's got so much story to it.
Yeah.
Like Invincible,
Charlie tried to argue to me that he was saying it was the animation style was like a comic book, and like.
Well, okay, so here's the speculative reason excuse for it. Basically, is they're saying it's kind of like the comics, where in the drawing or the art for the comic was pretty not good at first. It wasn't bad. Cory Walker's a great artist. He was overworked. It's a lot to go into. And when Cory Walker can actually flex his art, it's great. But at first they had to get this out very like regularly. And so that's a lot on the artist. So they have to skip a lot of details. So the art for the beginning of the comic is very meh. The story is still great, but the art is meh. But over time, the art gets better and better. And the art turns phenomenal. Like Ryan Otley is an amazing artist. Cory Walker, when he's specifically focused on one issue and has months to work on it, it's beautiful. So like the art progressively gets better in the comic too as the comic gets more popular. people are arguing that the animation was so bogged down on purpose because they want to make the animation better over time. And I don't know how much you can really do that with this animation style. I think we've seen that with a few of the episodes where like we started seeing them add more like finer detail and stuff, and some of the fights were a little better. So maybe that is what they're going for. I personally don't think it's actually that. I think it was literally just budget. They didn't want to spend too much money on the first season if it flopped, but now they know it's amazing. Hopefully they'll put a little bit more money into it season 2 and 3.
I have to say, I swear to you, I think it's budget, because like,
yeah,
I always will go back to the pilot episode when I don't know the guy's name, the Red Rush saves all those people and they're throwing up, and they have like the weakest animation frames for these people throwing up, that it's like their head moves the slightest and it's like all their throw ups falling in a perpendicular lines, and like I'm sorry, man, like when I was talking to Justin about it, when he said he's not going to watch Invincible because he's turned off by the animation style, and I'm desperately hoping I can convince him otherwise.
Yeah, because the story carries itself for me when it comes to that. But yeah, the animation, I definitely think it's budget. And the thing is, even if they do put more money into it and it gets better, people are still going to be like, oh, see, they did it because of the comic.
Yeah.
I don't think that's what it was at all. Robert Kirkman hasn't stated that. And with how much detail he's given on like what he wants to do with the show and everything, like we know a lot about how the show is going to play out in the future. It's why everyone knows the plot is going to be the same. I think he would tell us that if that was like part of his plan. Yeah. But that's my only knock on it is the animation. And I would say like maybe like 1 or 2 episodes, like Neil Armstrong Eat Your Heart Out. That episode was a little boring for me. But the other episodes kind of, again, develop Mark a lot. Like they keep the energy and story going and have you anticipating what's going to happen next.
And then I don't think we should fully knock on the animation in all parts either. I thought like episode 8, the fight scene between Mark and his dad is like fucking superb. Like they got that down without a problem. That's why I want to say is that it is budget, because they are having to pick and choose their battles in regards to where they're putting the money.
Yeah.
And that's fine.
And that is definitely the fight you want to put the money in.
Yes, like we watched Naruto Shippuden in pain, so I was showing Charlie the first time this week.
God.
And it was like the pain fight is drastically different than the rest of what you would see in the average Naruto, and that's okay. That's not a bad thing.
It was still a great fight. I love the fight. Like,
you know, one's definitely gonna have money over other parts.
Yeah.
That's just how it is.
Like, I am very curious why they didn't put more money into the Naruto one, but that's just me.
Well,
for Naruto versus Pain.
Naruto versus. Are you talking about the earlier parts, or are you talking about when they do the smooth animation? Because that's just
the bonk. The bonk.
That's just
is what got me.
But that's like the art style, though. That was whoever decided to choose it to be like that. I will defend that fight to the day I die. Also, your mic is sounding a little odd. Can you speak again?
Yeah. How's it sound now?
You sound like you're speaking through a McDonald's microphone.
No way, actually?
Yeah, right now you do. Yeah.
Oh my God.
It hasn't been like that for this whole time, so it just happened.
Here, let me switch this. Okay, that's in that. Now let me switch it back. All right, how's it sound now?
Now you sound good. Now you're good.
Okay, perfect. There we go. Sorry about that, folks. Technical difficulties.
McDonald's Nikita out here talking about shit on the pain fight.
Yeah, when I've got my own budget. I mean, back to Invincible. Yes. I think that was the only issue, quote unquote, I would have with the show. Everything else, love. Like cast. Oh my God, Stephen Yeun and J.K. Simmons as Mark and Nolan kill their roles. They just their voice acting really makes you feel what they're feeling in the moment. Sandra Oh, I think that's her name, playing Debbie.
Yeah, I'm checking that out to make sure.
Also kills it as Debbie. Amazing. Really pushes that like very independent mother who's willing to like take the risks, but is also like still very in love with her husband. Like hard to make that disconnect because that's what she has to do in the series. And I'm so excited to see what they do in the future. Like the next season, you will see Debbie get pretty fucked up over what happened. And like, I think Sandra Oh is the perfect actor to showcase that.
Honestly, man, this entire cast is just fucking insane. Like,
I know.
Gillian Jacobs, Mark Hamill's involved in the project, Seth Rogen.
Yes, Mark Hamill's literally just one of the more insignificant characters. He's significant in the beginning, but as the series progresses, you see him less and less. And the fact that they still pulled him for that is insane.
Like Walton Goggins and Zachary Quinto as Robot, like, bruh, that's
a team. I love Robot's voice actors. His set of voice actors.
I just had to like speculate there. That it has got like an A1 fucking cast. I don't know how Amazon Prime pulled that
Oh
off.
my god.
It's
Yeah.
actually insane. Like that's what I'm
Like,
saying. If there are budgetary issues with the animation, like I'm assuming there are, I'm not surprised because they
because of the
got like a
fucking
bunch of
cast.
heavy
They
hitters, man. Holy
yeah.
shit.
And they are worth it. They are definitely worth it. And they sell these characters, and these characters are done so well in the TV show. The only character like everyone's annoyed with is Amber, and that's kind of purposely like her character. A lot of people have also been hating on her. I love Amber way more in this show than I do the comics. She's so much more lame in the comics, is like just there for as a side piece for Mark. In the show, she's like more independent. Yes, a little more rude and not as understanding, but like that, I think that's part of her character. She's meant to be just fucking stubborn as hell.
She's got an actual like character in this in comparison to the
Yes.
comics. I feel like I don't like her, but maybe it's a good thing that
Yeah.
I don't like her in comparison to the other one I just kind of found boring.
Yeah.
I'm still a little episode 8 has me more than a little bit floored in regards to their relationship.
Yeah. And her going back. I think we'll see one more season and then he'll finally go to Eve. Hopefully.
Damn. Damn, that doesn't count as a spoiler, does it?
No, I mean everyone knows it's gonna be Mark and Eve. Let's be honest. That everyone knew from the beginning of the series. I knew that from reading the first issue of the comic. I was like, what? So if you haven't got it by now, I'm sorry. I apologize. Spoiler warning, I guess.
Oh my god.
Eve and Mark get together. Amber and Mark break up. I mean,
Wow.
It's what we all want.
Wow. That's a fucking one.
Thank you.
I'm excited. Eve is best bae.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned.
And just from, I don't know, the start to the end of the series, I will say the start of episode 1, kind of meh. You see a Justice League ripoff, and I think it's meant to pull you in. It didn't pull me in as much, but maybe it's because I read the comics, so I knew them already, and I like knew what was going to happen with their characters. Again, we're going to talk about the plot of season 1, so not really spoiling anymore, but like I knew they were going to die pretty quickly, so I was like, they're insignificant besides Immortal.
But even like episode 1 really kind of I think like stretches past the comics in regards to the end fight scene.
Yes.
Versus Guardians of the Globe is way better in the show than it is in the comics.
Yeah,
like,
it's more brutal. You actually, I think in the comics they literally just do like side panels of them getting killed,
it's
and that's
4
it.
panels of them just getting killed immediately.
While with the show, it's like dedicated like 10-ish minutes.
They put up a fight. Omni-Man gets really fucked up.
Wait, your mic is going a little bit more technical difficulties. Still going.
Wow, we're just
see, this happens when the wire touches something, folks. So that we're just trying to adjust that.
Not touching any.
I'm so sorry. This is the pain. We're on a budget. Support our Patreon. It's good now. It's good now. Perfect. Sorry. Continue.
Where was I? Yeah, I mean, like the fact that it was actually stretched out. Omni-Man actually gets injured in this one, and they set it up as like a mystery that needs to be solved. Was super fucking cool. I mean, the original was a mystery, but this one has like some actual like, damn.
And Dark Blood. Dark Blood is utilized more, or is that his name? Dark Blood, the demon detective.
Yes.
Yeah, he's utilized in the comic. He literally they set him up as like, okay, I'm gonna investigate this. We'll find out. You don't see him for like 10 issues after Mark and Omni-Man already have their whole big fight. He's gone, and he comes over and he's like, guys, I figured it out. It's Omni-Man. And like Cecil's secretary is like, yeah, we figured that out months ago. Yeah, and that's it.
That.
He doesn't get a death. He just disappears.
Well, he's like a fan favorite right now.
Yeah, exactly. People love him. So, and I've heard some people be like, I feel like they kind of just threw away his character. I was like, oh, just you read the comic. That's where they threw it away. In the show, he gets like a proper send off. We might see him again. We might not. I wouldn't be surprised if Kirkman pulled him out for something in the future. Yeah. But with that first episode, like I will admit, for me at least, the beginning of the episode was a little slow. But like as the episode went on, I liked it more and more. And then the ending of the first episode smacked. And that's what I have to say when it comes to like if you're debating about giving the series a try, watch the full first episode. There's going to be a credit scene, and then the whole fight happens in the after credits. But it is brutal, and that is what sets the theme for the rest of the season. And really sets the theme for the show in general. It's a brutal show. It's meant to be a more adult take on comics, and like a take that actually like kind of makes some meta comments about like issues in comics, and they do that in the show too. Yep. But it's not your average superhero TV show, and I think that's why it's such a hit right now. It's blowing up. And then I mean, I don't know if you have any other comments about like the first. I say that first fight scene is like the biggest thing that starts off this entire show.
Yeah. I would agree. I was really I don't know. I hate to say that. I was really bored, and then we got to that end. You were
Yeah.
like, "How'd you feel about that, Gino?" I was like, "Hey," I was like, "That was
Yeah.
pretty fucking cool."
That's where
I was
Gino was
like,
sold on it.
I was like, "Damn!" I was like, "These guys are getting fucked."
Yep. And then the rest of the series, we just got to see Omni-Man try to like play around Cecil slowly figuring out and trying to figure out like what the fuck do we do? I think the only thing we can do is like get Mark. And then you get episode 7 and 8, where I think everything really starts to wrap together and sets the overall tone for the rest of the series. I think that sets the tone for like this season and gives you an idea of what the series is about. But I think 7 and 8 show you what Mark is really going to go through. Because even like that's probably one of the biggest things Mark has to like go up against and do. But there are more moments in the comic and soon to be in the show where like it gets more brutal than that, folks. A lot more brutal. And the comic or the TV show does it way more brutal than the comic, which is why I'm so excited for a future fight. I'm not going to spoil it, but it'll be Mark against a guy named Conquest. That's all I'll say.
Yep.
And the Mark Conquest fight is literally one of the best and most brutal fights in comics. And so to see what they're going to do with that in the big screen, oh my God, especially with how they amped up the Mark and Nolan fight. Crazy. But I loved episode 7 a lot.
I'm ready to see my T-Rex. Boy, that is
Oh my God,
that is
that's
what I'm
gonna
mostly
be
excited for.
That's where I like hated Mark the most, but also fell in love with him because like he realized he fucked up. We won't spoil anything more than that, but just you wait for the T-Rex. I know that sounds silly, but just you wait.
That full arc with his, I thought was like excellent in regards to like the deconstruction of like a hero and like like the idea of like trying to do the right thing. Fucking phenomenal. Like, oh, Robert Kirkman's a fucking genius as far as I'm concerned.
I love it. And just to get back to like the episodes, like episode 7 and 8, 7, I think I would you agree was a great build up to 8. Really set the
stone, 7 and 8 were superb episodes. I think like the whole season was good, but 7 and 8 I think stand alone way above the rest.
I agree.
In terms of quality and substance within them. So
yes, like 8 is a setup episode, but I think it's the best setup episode you could do. It really sets you up for like this. Mark and Nolan are actually about to talk about Nolan wiping out the Guardians of the Globe, which is what everyone's been waiting for the entire season. And then episode 8, I mean, I wasn't sure if they were going to fit in everything for episode 8 and where they were going to go after the fight, but wow, they fit everything in. The fight between the two is just brutal. I mean, Mark gets his ass kicked. Absolutely.
I just don't even know if you can call it a fight, man. I'll be honest.
Yeah, that's true. Mark just gets his ass kicked. It's really not a fight.
It's an ass whooping.
And God, again, they show off more like the train scene or even the scene in the city. Like you don't see that in the comic. He just busts through a few buildings and people die and that's it. But they're like in the show where Mark has to like stop the building from falling and catches the woman and then sees her kid and is like, I'm going to save you. And then the building collapses and they die. And you see Mark be like, I didn't save them. Like that's why I love this. You see the PTSD this boy goes through.
That poor jet pilot, bro.
That jet pilot. Mark actually saves him and then Nolan just bam, brutally kills him. And then the train scene after the fact where Marcus just like gets his first few licks in on Omni-Man and he's like, all right, fine. You really want to do this? Let's do this. Just forces his body through like 100 corpses on a train or corpse, whatever like forcibly through a train where like Mark just doesn't want to hurt anyone. He wants to save anyone and his body is being used as a weapon to kill people. And just after the fact, still getting thrown to the mountain. I mean, you feel bad for Mark. I wanted to cry, but where it really, do you have any comments about that before we get to the last part of episode 8?
I was really sad. That's it. It's just sad.
You get PTSD for Mark during that. Let's be honest. That's how like gruesome it is.
It was funny to meme on when I watched it the second time with Charlie that I was like, Mark will come back with bloodlust. Like, shonen for my friends type beat is gonna come Charlie. Up here. Something's gonna happen. Nah, cool.
And then just at the very end, that last scene where like he's getting beat down on the mountain and Omni-Man is having his talk, and where it really hit me when he was like, and it's a popular meme now on TikTok, but it's like, you know what? I can start over. What's 17 more years? Because he's lived thousands of years. So 17 years really isn't that long. So it like makes Mark think like I really am insignificant to my own dad. and he's just brutally like beating on him when he says that line, and it just makes you feel it. And then he has the flashback where he's like, okay, wait, this is my actual son. Like, and I'm pretty sure Mark is his first child ever, so it's like there's a reason why that relationship is so impactful and why it's not just like a one-off kind of thing. And so it makes it hurt even more because you see him slowly start, as he's beating Mark down, slowly be like, why am I doing this? And he then yells at Mark and he's like, why did you make me do this? Like, think. And the big line from Invincible, the biggest line, Mark, what will you have after 500 years? And then Mark just telling it to him, even after getting beaten by his dad, saying like, I can make another one of you. And he just says, you, like, I will live 1,000 years, Dad. You're going to have me and I will have you. And that's what matters. Like, that's all I need. Doesn't matter if everyone else dies. At least I know I will have my dad. And that just like, and all he says is you, Dad. That's it. Like, he doesn't, the moment hits you enough, it gives you that explanation. And that was just, I was in
just
tears
like, I love when he says like, you, Dad, I would still have you. And like, the reality is like, he would be like, you literally would just be like gargling noises. It's like Mark tries to speak. Like this one of my favorite like memes for is just like, what would you have after 1,000 years? And Mark speaks like,
well, like there is some of that gargle because he did just get his fucking teeth smashed.
Yeah, literally.
And
again, oh my God.
And why it's cooler than the comic. In the comic, you just read that line. In the show, you hear the pain in his voice as he says it, and then Omni-Man storms off. And a lot of people are wondering what Omni-Man is doing, and I think it'll be interesting to see.
Will it be? It'll be interesting to see. You've got no clue.
No,
as to where your boy is.
He's alive. I wonder what they're gonna do. Are they gonna fight again? What's gonna happen? I mean,
I just want to note one more quick thing that I found funny, and I texted you about this the other day, in regards to like they're having this full conversation about like, oh, they're gonna live for forever or whatever. Outlive all these people, and I was like, like Immortal's like right over there, Omni-Man. Like
that's true.
He's been doing this for a while. He's definitely lived thousands of years at this point, and he seems to be fine, man. So like, what? What gives?
He goes through his own arc a little bit, but he's not like murderous dictator level like Omni-Man. He's
not like he went to all other humans on the planet and was like, I'm going to eliminate them all now. Like that is,
He was depressed, but he does solve that in the series along with Mark in Invincible. Yeah, I didn't even think about that when I was reading through the comic. When you brought that up, that was a good point where I was like, oh yeah, there are actually other immortals on the literally immortal on the planet. So it's like Nolan's whole reasoning is kind of defunct there. And actually, can I say this before because I've basically said everything I need to say. People that are defending Omni-Man, I will say this now. If you're listening to this and you think Omni-Man at all is in the right, you're stupid. That's all I can say. For literally, people are trying to be like, yeah, I mean, he's got a point. They lived thousands of years, so we're kind of ants to them. They should enslave us. Are you saying if Omni-Man was real, you'd want him to enslave you or just wipe you out because you're fucking insignificant? Because Mark's whole point is to say, doesn't matter how short that lifespan is, it's a life, and they do something with it. And we can make it even more if we help add to it, not take over. Like, that's the whole point of it. Like, if that's your takeaway from this, stop watching the TV show because you're going to hate it by the end. Because the whole point of the TV show is that Mark shows him, and this isn't even a spoiler. Again, this is the point of the show, is even though you will live another 500 years, thousands of years, you can still make something good of it. You can still live a happy life and a good life by being peaceful and showing actual justice and unity across the universe. While like the Viltrumite way was to conquer it, and Mark shows that his way through peace and unity is a million times better, and it was actually a much better solution for the Viltrumite Empire, for the cosmos, for Earth, everything. Like, that's the whole point of the series, is to prove that line from Omni-Man completely wrong. So if that's your takeaway, please shut up and stop watching the show. You are not getting anything from it.
Yeah, but Nikita, what about cows and fish and stuff on Earth? Like, what about
their pet? Them, he was right. Debbie is just a pet to him. My dog's a pet. You don't see me fucking him. I mean, what? Like, that's my like biggest thing.
I think that was another thing that I pointed out to Charlie. I was like, can you imagine like that is such a weird concept to just be like, yeah, man, I fucked my dog. Basically like a human.
If he is really a pet to him, like, and that's what people are defending. I'm like, good. You want to fuck your dog then? Is that what you're telling me? Like,
literally,
what's up, dog?
it is like a basically a fascist take to be like, oh yeah, the Viltrumites are right. And if you think that, then like you need to re-educate yourself in terms.
I guess
politics.
Next time there's a Superman level character, hopefully he enslaves you because apparently you're dumb enough to do that. Like, go for it. Like, awesome. You are not surviving the apocalypse if that's what you're thinking, buddy.
Like,
but yeah, that's those are the quote unquote issues, but like overall, yeah, again, amazing series.
What are you
Yeah.
rating it? I guess I should ask.
A lot of people say a perfect 10 out of 10. I won't say that now. Maybe by the end, I will say for this first season, an 8.5 out of 10. The animation kind of slows it down for me, and some of the pacing just slows it down for me. Like the first episode, if someone cuts off at the credit scene and didn't wait to see if there was an end credits because they were so uninterested, they're not gonna care about the rest of the series. And again, there were other slow moments. So that's why amazing overall. And I think by the end, the whole series could be a 10 out of 10 series for me, depending on how they progress everything and stuff. But for now, for this first season, I would say an 8.5, maybe a 9 out of 10. What about you?
8 out of 10. 8 out
Yeah.
of 10. I think you covered among most of my reasoning on the matter. I think it'll improve as time goes on.
Yeah.
They got to fix that budget for me though. Sorry, they got to fix that animation stuff.
I agree.
They need to. I think their pacing is fine for the most part.
Yeah, I think the first season is meant to be slow. Again, that's how it was in the comics too. It was a lot more slower in the comics, and then the pacing caught up. That's why I think by the end it'll be a 10 out of 10. But for one season by itself, as opposed to a whole show, a little slow, just a tad. Yep. So I'm curious. Some people are giving it 10 out of 10. I think those are just super fans. And this is coming from someone who has actually read the entire comic. I've read it, I think, 6 times now at this point. But as someone who loves the comic, is his favorite comic, and loves the TV show, I can still humbly say 8.5 out of 10. Yeah, but that's my overall rating. Retweet. Let's go. Definitely check it out. It's on Amazon Prime. If you want to read the book, find it on Amazon. It's all over the place. It's also on other like comic book websites. Barnes and Nobles might even have it in stock now. That's like blowing up. YouTube videos have a lot of good explanation where they go over like the entire series, so you still get everything from it. There's a lot. Highly recommend it, like I did in the first episode, or not in the first episode, but the episode I talked about on your Resident Nerds.
Yep.
Any other closing remarks, Gino?
No, I think you should go watch it. I think Invincible's costume is a lot more badass than I previously thought about it.
Yeah, I agree.
We're Adam Eve stands here on this page. Right. Let it be known. And I think that's it.
Awesome.
I'm very excited for season 2 and season 3, and I'm hoping they'll get renewals by the time season 2 is over. Like they'll
more for season 4 and season 5. Yeah, I think they need 5 seasons. We'll see. But season 2 and season 3 are renewed, people. So get excited, get hyped. If you want to keep up to date with that kind of news and stuff, follow us on our TikTok and Instagram at Your Resident Nerds. That's where we talk about a lot of that stuff. We'll give you all the quick updates and good memes about it. Because again, Invincible apparently has made a lot of memes right now. So definitely follow us on there just to keep up with us. But I think that's everything, Gino, right?
If there's anything you liked, leave a comment. If you've read the Invincible comic, feel free to hit us up. He will gladly talk your ear off.
Yeah, seriously, I will. If you like this whole review too, please like the video on YouTube. That would be super helpful. We really want to get us more YouTube oriented, and likes help us so much. And please subscribe to our YouTube too. If you're listening on Spotify, totally understand. You'll get to see our faces on YouTube though, so hopefully that'll add a factor. My lighting's going down, so it might be. YouTube is free too. That's right. But yeah. Okay. Anyways, guys, I'm your comic nerd and Invincible fanboy, Nikita.
I'm your weeb Viltrumite, who's not really a Viltrumite. I'm your hybrid Viltrumite. Listen, this joke's over. I'm Gino though,
and we're your resident nerds. We'll get better. Let's go.
All right.
Peace, guys.